Immersions, intensive, electives, oh my, they're all part of Cornell Johnson's 2-year MBA program. Sound good? Let's learn more about it, as well as how to get in during this conversation with Cornell Johnson's Executive Director of Admissions, Eddie Asbee.
Welcome to Admission Straight Talk, the podcast dedicated to graduate admissions and helping you approach the application process thoughtfully and successfully. Your host is Accepted's founder and world-renowned admissions guru, Linda Abraham. At Accepted, our mission is to get you to that unforgettable moment when you read your acceptance email and shout, "Yes, I'm in!" Confident you'll be attending the perfect program to help you launch the career of your dreams.
Welcome to the 488th episode of Admission Straight Talk, Accepted's podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Before we speak with our wonderful guest, I want to invite you to take advantage of a fantastic tool at Accepted, the Mba Admissions Quiz. Are you ready to apply to your dream MBA programs? Are you competitive at those programs? Accepted's Mba Admissions Quiz can not only give you a quick reality check, but tips on how to improve your qualifications. Plus, it's all free. Again, use the calculator at accepted.com/MBA quiz, that's MBAQUIZ, to obtain your complimentary assessment. It gives me great pleasure to have, for the first time on Admission Straight Talk, Eddie Asbee, Executive Director of Admissions and Scholarship at Cornell Johnson Graduate School of Management. Eddie earned his bachelor's in communications from the University at Buffalo and a master's from SUNY Buffalo in student personnel administration. Between his undergraduate and graduate degrees, he worked at SUNY Buffalo, and then while in grad school, he served as an admissions advisor at the University of Buffalo. He joined the Johnson School in 2012 as an assistant director of admissions and financial aid, and became the executive director of admissions and scholarship in June 2021. Eddie, welcome to Admission Straight Talk.
Linda, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to chatting with you today.
Same here. I'm delighted to have you on the show. Now, I'd like to start with a couple of general questions about the Cornell Johnson MBA, and then move more into admissions topics. Is that okay with you?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. So to start, can you give an overview of the Cornell Johnson full-time MBA program for those listeners who just aren't that familiar with it, and focus on its more distinctive elements? I assume there's going to be accounting in it, but
Absolutely. Well, for those of you that aren't familiar with our residential program here at Johnson, first, if you're not familiar with Cornell in location, we're located in Ithaca, New York, which is located in central New York. But our MBA program is a general management MBA, program that allows our students to really be able to get the basic business fundamentals, but also to be able to expand both personally and professionally throughout their career goals. As I think about our program in particular, and thinking about some of the distinctive features of it, we are known for elements of our program, such as our immersion learning program, which also gives our students that opportunity to really be able to immerse themselves into their particular career path. And this happens in the spring semester of their first year, especially for anyone who is, the way I like to think of it is for our career switchers out there, giving you that opportunity, really being able to have that hands-on experience, taking advanced level courses into, your particular immersion, and then ultimately to be able to hit the ground running with your internship itself. But also, if you're not familiar too, the Johnson community and the Cornell community also has a Cornell Tech MBA program located in New York City. So if you are looking at a residential 2-year program in particular, there are opportunities for our program to collaborate with Cornell Tech, where you can spend some time, of course, at home base here in Ithaca, New York, but also in New York City on that Cornell Tech campus. But then also a lot of other great things, flexibility in the program to work with other departments, here at Cornell. But once again, those are some of the things that come to mind. What I like to say about our program, though, is that it really does give you the opportunity to customize the program the way you see best fit. So, once again, we understand that it's a business school, but we also understand that the direction that our students are going into may focus on so many different industries, whether it is hospitality, whether it is healthcare, whether it is the technical side of things. And we have some great programs here at Cornell that allows you to be able to, tap into these other areas.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Is there anything particularly new at Cornell Johnson that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, well, I will say that within my time here at Johnson, we've done a pretty good job of making sure that we stay relevant in what's happening and changes, to our curriculum. But one of the new exciting things that I would like to share is that opportunity to do a 1+1 program. And this is a newer option where it's 1 full year here in Ithaca, along with 1 full year at Cornell Tech. So,
Oh,
and I can, of course, talk a little bit further about other options, but with this program in particular, it gives you our students who are applying to the 2-year residential MBA program, the opportunity of going through the standard core in that first semester. In that second semester, as I had mentioned before, regarding our immersion learning program, going through the immersion experience, but of course, with a tech focus behind that, of course, that summer internship. And then in that second year, you then join the Cornell Tech students, focusing on their startup curriculum, where you're spending that entire second year at Cornell Tech.
in Manhattan,
In
Roosevelt
Manhattan.
Island.
Yes, on Roosevelt Island.
In the East River, if I got it straight, right?
Absolutely, yes. So
That's pretty exciting. That's
it's
pretty,
great.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a-
that's a fantastic option.
The type of student that we're really looking for in this space is really someone who is looking to bridge the gap between business as well as the digital economy, and also someone with technical experience behind their belt as well. So we are in the stages right now of, you'll start hearing that more about the 1+1 program in more of our publications. You'll see it more and talked about more in some of our presentations. But our incoming second years, there's a group of about around 15 or so that are piloting this program right now. But we do look forward to continuing this as an option moving forward. So great opportunity for students to have kind of the best of both worlds between both campuses.
Now, is a 1+1 program something that somebody would apply to before being accepted to Cornell? Or is that something that they decide upon while at Cornell and get
Great
accepted
question.
to?
Yeah, great question. So at the moment, so when I think about our students who just started this week, it's going to be an internal application for them.
Okay.
And what we do anticipate is for next year's application cycle. So once we launch the application in the
23.
summer of 2023, this should be a question in our application. So
Got it.
for anyone who's applying this year, you won't see that in the application this year. Know that, once you start the program in the fall 2023, once again, it'll be an internal application. But then once again, moving forward after the cycle, you'll then see it in our admissions application.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying. But that is really exciting news. Quite an opportunity. And I should say, this Manhattan has an allure, right? All the buzz
Yes.
and all that. But Ithaca is gorgeous. I have visited the Finger Lakes. It is gorgeous. Might be cold, but it's gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
Okay, especially for this Angelino. All right. In preparing for our call today, I took note of several distinctive aspects of the program, and you've already mentioned a couple. And I'm wondering if you can touch on these three: immersions, which you said is the second semester of the first year, intensives, and performance learning. What are those? Those are, I think, all really distinctive elements of the Cornell Johnson program.
So one of the things about our program is that we really believe that it's important that you have that hands-on experience, that you're learning from business practitioners. You're actually working on projects into, your career path in your field, and then ultimately getting feedback. I think is something that's very important, for our students throughout this process. But as I had mentioned regarding the immersion, that immersive experience is a semester-long immersion. There's an immersion in digital technology. There's an immersion in investment banking. There's an immersion in operations, and the list goes on, along with a customized immersion where, once again, if you're taking advantage of the investment banking immersion, that entire semester is focused on advanced level courses in investment banking, a week on Wall Street, working with business practitioners, so that once you get to that summer internship, you're able to hit the ground running and to really be able to capitalize on that experience, so that, of course, at the end of that internship, hopefully walking away with a full-time offer. So yes, that's a little bit about that immersion experience.
So the immersions are geared towards not so much an area of study, but a particular career path.
Yeah, typically, yeah. So a lot of our students, are very intentional when it comes to their immersions. So they know that, okay, I am looking to go in investment banking. I want to focus on that investment banking experience for that entire semester. And like I said, this is really helpful for someone who's making a career switch, where you spend, that entire semester really just focusing primarily on that particular area.
Great. And then the intensives.
Yes, so the intensive, so we have 3 intensives. There is our Sustainable Global Enterprise Intensive, there is our FinTech Intensive, and then also the Digital Marketing Intensive. So with the Digital Marketing and the FinTech Intensive, those are both 7-week intensives on the Cornell Tech campus. And know that the intensives are these 2 intensives are offered in the spring semester of your second year.
Got it.
So of course, these intensives, there are a couple required courses along with elective courses that you're taking in these particular areas as well, over those 7 weeks, but also, working with the Cornell Tech students, working with entrepreneurs and really kind of having that full sense of that Cornell Tech campus and that curriculum over those 7 weeks. Once you're done with the 7 weeks of these 2 intensives in particular, you have the opportunity of remaining on the Cornell Tech campus and finishing out the rest of the semester right before you graduate, or those remaining 7 weeks, you can come back to home base here in Ithaca and finish out those 7 weeks with those elective courses. Now, when it comes to the SGE intensive, this is located here in Ithaca. And, I think one of the benefits of this intensive in particular is that you have the opportunity of taking this intensive either in your first year, but also in your second year as well. And
so you can do it twice, or you just choose when you do it?
You can actually do it twice. It really gives you the opportunity of working with our SGE team and once again, working on, various projects and, taking those advanced level courses, focusing on sustainability as well. So, once again, the performance learning piece is really that hands-on piece. And it's making sure that you're able to, of course, we have great faculty members and, sitting in that classroom is great. You're learning from, world-renowned faculty members, but we also want you out there. And through the immersion, the intensive, even the experience with Cornell Tech, working on these actual projects and spending time on Wall Street, connecting with our alums and working on various projects to have that experience provides that performance learning and that hands-on piece for our students.
Thank you. And what about performance learning? I know we talked about immersions, intensives.
Yep. So once again, the performance learning piece is really just that hands-on piece.
Hands-on part.
Yeah.
Okay.
The hands-on
experiential learning, project-oriented.
Correct. Yeah. And once again, it's throughout the entire curriculum, whether it is sitting in the classroom, whether it is the immersion and working on projects, whether it is case competitions out there, once again, we want our students to be able to learn by doing as well.
Now, you mentioned that the intensives are 7 weeks out of the second semester in the second year, right?
Correct.
So what do you do the rest of the semester, or is everybody doing an intensive during those 7 weeks?
Yeah, so no, not everyone is taking advantage of the intensives, but during that time, once again, this is where students have the opportunity to customize their program.
Got it.
So there are students who are taking courses over at the law school, the hotel school, industrial labor relations. There are students who take advantage of global opportunities. And, we'll do a study abroad for a semester with some of our partner schools internationally. There are students who, of course, are taking advantage of the Cornell Tech campus itself. But then also there are those opportunities to just travel. They're traveling, they're having fun.
So they're traveling again. They're
Oh my goodness. It is. I tell our students all the time that I'm like, some of the quick trips that they may do as a group, especially in their second year, they're still working hard and they're still learning, but they also still have fun. But also they're great mentors, to our first year MBAs. as they're going through their experience as well. Whether it is a Johnson Leadership Fellow who helps our incoming MBAs as they are going through their core experience, or whether they are, a Johnson Board Fellow where they are a non-voting member on a local nonprofit, here in the Ithaca area. So there's so many different things that are happening, but, once again, we want to make sure that our students are feeling like they are getting what they need from the Johnson curriculum, but also being able to explore in the greater Cornell community.
Great. Thank you. Wonderful answers. All right. So you have some students in Manhattan, some students in Ithaca. Where do Johnson graduates, Johnson MBAs, get jobs, both geographically and in terms of industry? I'm guessing they don't all stay in Ithaca or on Roosevelt Island. So where do they go?
Yeah, as much as we would love to keep them here in Ithaca, there are many great options for them. So our alums are going all over the world. If you go onto our website and, there are our career management stats on there, you will see that a lot of our students are going within the financial sector.
Right.
And, when we talk about finance, it can be anything from investment banking to asset management, but then they are also going the consulting route, more the general management route, marketing, tech. Everyone, tech is, of course, the hot thing right now. But there's so many, students who are also going into the healthcare sector, real estate. They're entrepreneurs. So once again, keep in mind with the MBA, it's much more than finance consulting, but there are many great options and great companies that come here to recruit. As far as location wise, I think that our largest alumni base is located in New York City. And it's because probably that's where I'm assuming a lot of students want to go afterwards. But, New York, San Francisco is a great location with alums, the Boston, DC, Minneapolis, Texas, like domestically, and then of course just internationally, they're all over the world too. So just know that even with a Cornell MBA, you're not restricted to just one location. Whatever you still see on the website as well, I have full confidence in our program and our career management center to really prepare you for whatever industry, function, location that you want to. But I will encourage candidates that as you go throughout this journey, to make sure that you stay in touch with our students about, what their recruiting path looked like, how Johnson prepared them, and, keep asking those tough questions.
Sounds good. What don't people know about Cornell Johnson that you would like them to know, or are there any myths you'd like to dispel?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. That's a loaded question there. Oh my God. So as far as one of the myths I'll start with is it really has to be our location. I think that everyone knows Cornell, the brand, it's a global brand,
Oh, yeah.
but the location piece is something that some people may say, I just don't know about a smaller, town versus a larger metropolitan city. What is there to do? Do recruiters come there? You have to keep in mind that we have some of the best of the best that are here between our students, faculty, administration, and of course, when I think about even just our alumni base, we have such an amazing program here. And I believe that recruiters know that, they know that the quality of a Cornell student and what our brand brings. And with our location, we always get asked, do companies come there? Absolutely. But also thinking about it, our alums want to give back. And this is also a way for them to give back, is to represent their company, to bring in Johnson students or Cornell students as a whole. So that's one thing. Another thing too is just, once again, just our location. This is a beautiful, beautiful place. It is an amazing college town that has so much to offer. I've already talked about what our program offers from a curriculum standpoint, but also when I think about the social side and how this is a true community, Ithaca and Cornell supports each other. The local businesses, being on the lake, being in wine country. There's so much that, once again, this amazing college town has to offer. And I think that, if you haven't come to visit, definitely come to visit. So, once again, that's another thing that I wish people would know, but also from more of the curriculum side of things. As I had mentioned too, there's the flexibility in the program, but also I don't think that candidates know the strength of our entrepreneurial, opportunities. I think that, we have our strong entrepreneurial suites here, whether it is our Big Red Ventures, that is a student-run opportunity for students, who are looking to further within their entrepreneurial side, or just connecting with some faculty members who are, have strengths on the entrepreneurial side of things, but also keeping in mind too that it's also a partnership with Johnson, the business school, but also Cornell as a whole.
Good.
And, I've seen, students who have taken on, opportunities and partnered with engineers here, or even from the legal side and our JDs. So the list goes on, but that is an area that I always feel that I wish, candidates really knew, especially if that's more of a longer term goal, versus a short term goal.
Is the school supportive of MBA students starting a business while doing their MBA?
Absolutely.
Both in Ithaca and in Roosevelt Island?
Absolutely, yes. And that's something that within my role, I get asked,
Sure.
all the time from admissions, like, yes, it's your job to sell the program, you're in admissions, but it's a good feeling knowing that you work for an institution that truly supports the students and that values students, but also will give you the tools necessary to be able to pursue what your passions are, and whether it is a passion for your post-MBA goals or long-term goals, or whether it is a passion that you want to do. So absolutely.
All right, great. Thank you. Let's turn to the application. Do you see Cornell Johnson accepting the executive assessment in the future? And I believe Johnson offers a waiver opportunity. Who, in your opinion, should take the test and who should seek a waiver? That's actually two separate questions.
So when it comes to the executive assessment, currently we are not accepting the executive assessment. Potentially in the future, we may. Every year we, before the application launch, we go back and really evaluate what our processes look like, and what elements in the application have been helpful versus, things that we should take out. So I'm sure that, next year during this time or throughout the year, we'll kind of go back and reevaluate, is this something that we want to reconsider? As far as the waiver, I'm glad that you asked that question, because the waiver is not for everyone. And I will say, when it comes to the waiver and the way we look at it, with an MBA program in particular, we want to have full confidence that you're going to come into our program, that you're going to succeed in the core. And I know that there's a lot of students who may not have a quantitative background or come from a business background, or maybe it's been some time since you've been out of school. Or
taken a math class.
Absolutely, yes, or taking a math class. But we want to make sure that you're going to be successful throughout that process. And when it comes to the waiver, you should be someone who's confident in your ability. And what we will look at is, of course, your academic performance. We'll look at the type of institution that you came from, what your major was, consistency of your grades, but also the challenging courses, especially from the quantitative side, that you've taken, that hopefully gives the admissions committee confidence that you're going to come into the program and, and really succeed there. But then also, we will look at your work experience as well, and really be able to dig a little bit deeper into that experience. Hopefully maybe your recommenders have also spoke on your abilities from the quantitative side. But those are some of the things that we are looking at when making a decision on granting a waiver or not. Now, if you're someone who, struggled academically, maybe don't come from that quantitative side of things, and we have questions, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and take that test. It's much more than, for some, just taking the easy way out. I actually had a conversation with a candidate the other day who was trying to, tell me that they were just so busy and they just couldn't take the test because of work. And I just said, I
might be too busy to review your application.
Yeah. But I remember I told the candidate, when I see that there are candidates in the military, or maybe there is a single parent that's working full time and taking care of their kid, but also studying for the test and I personally, I have no sympathy for that. So, and once again, that's just me being very transparent. But if you are questioning where you are when it comes to your preparation for business school or even just the next steps, I welcome the conversation to discuss if the waiver is for you or not.
Right. That was very insightful. We actually have a graph, and it's based on something that Sujin Kwan had said like way back when waivers were first being issued. And it's, like good test taker, across the top, and evidence of quantability on the left side. And it's basically if you, good test taker and have evidence of quantability, you can take the test. If you have no evidence of quantability and good test taker, you should definitely take the test. And I don't remember exactly how it was all, but it was a four square decision chart. And there was, two that were kind of gray. There was one you should definitely take the test, and there was one you should definitely not take the test, because you just cannot show the ability to do well in the program. If you don't have the grades and you don't have the quant background, you're not gonna, or work experience for that matter, to show that you can handle the math. You have to take that test.
Absolutely. I will say that, we're rooting for all of our applicants and of course our students. We have a very competitive applicant pool out there for this incoming class. We enrolled a class of about 303 in this class. And when you have thousands of applications for 300 spots, there are certain things and certain elements within an application that can really eliminate someone. And I will say that I'm proud that we do take a holistic approach, but still that test can make or break a decision, especially when if there are concerns already. Right. But if you're just kind of like that average candidate out there and you are deciding between that test or not, I would encourage you, go ahead. Definitely take the test, submit the test. Once again, I welcome the conversation, and we can talk a little bit further on what Johnson's looking for.
Right. All right, let's move on. Let's touch on the essays for a minute, okay? I thought your answer was fantastic, but anyway, let's move on to the essays. We could talk about the test a little bit more, but I think you covered it. Johnson has 2 required essays and 1 optional. What do you hope to learn from the essays and written materials in the application that, let's say, the test and the transcript don't tell you? Let's say even the resume doesn't tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have 1 required essay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
So yeah, we've made some changes over the last couple of years in particular. So the 1 required essay that we have is our impact essay. And when I think about Johnson in particular, with a class size of about approximately 300. For some, you may look at it as a smaller class or a medium-sized class compared to some of our peers. But also when I think about the location itself, impact and that sense of community is very big here within the Johnson community. So we want to make sure that, you've done your due diligence throughout the process to kind of get to know who we are. And, our question really focuses on, how do you see yourself making an impact within, an elite program like our program? And some of the ways that I think about, or great ways of answering this, are really getting a sense of what we do within the Johnson community that is unique, or where you see yourself contributing or making that impact. So, for example, if you are a marketer and you are interested in battle of the brands and being a part of that committee or making that overall experience a great experience for your classmates and yourself, that's something very specific that you are learning about our curriculum. Or maybe there are leadership opportunities. As I had mentioned before, there's our Johnson Board Fellows, where our students sit on the board of a local nonprofit in the Ithaca area. So that impact essay is something that means a lot to us. It shows that you've done your due diligence on getting to know who we are as a community, but also, hopefully you've had the opportunity of touching base with students and alums, or even faculty and staff along this journey. We do have a Park Fellowship essay, and this is an optional essay for those who are a U.S. citizen, where you are being considered for a 2-year full tuition fellowship, which also has a leadership component to it. If you do fill out the Park fellowship, essay itself, we do try to once again identify about 25 students in each cohort. It really focuses on the leadership component and how you've developed as a leader and how you see yourself being a leader while in business school in particular. But I will encourage everyone who qualifies for the fellowship to at least take the time out to fill out that additional essay. And then really the last one is really the optional essay. And the optional essay, of course, I will say that if there are any red flags in your application, anything that you believe the admissions committee really needs to know, whether it's gaps in your work experience, academic concerns, reasons why you didn't use your supervisor as your recommender, briefly use that optional essay.
Right. Now, I think, is there still a goals statement required?
So yes, so
That's I think the other essay. That was the other essay I was referring to.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So then yes, the goal statement. Yes. So our goal statement is pretty much the fill in the blank. So there's a fill in the blank portion to it, along with it allows you to write in brief paragraph form what your short-term and long-term goal.
And I believe how has your experience prepared and encouraged you to pursue these goals? Is that also
Correct.
part of it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So there's the goal statement plus the one required essay, the impact essay, and then once again the optional essay. But yes, the goals piece, I can't stress enough that you really should take that time to really be able to articulate what your goals are. And I think in reality, we know that, okay, candidates are going to get to business school and also explore other options, but you really should have a good sense of a sense of what you want to do and how you're going to get there. So when it comes to the goal statement itself, what I would also encourage applicants, in particular, if you're making a career switch, to start doing some networking and research towards those goals. So whether it is connecting with members of our communities, whether it's connecting with our career management center, to think about ways to really prepare.
Right. And if you can't articulate how your past experience is somehow relevant to your future goals, you won't be able to do it for an employer either.
Absolutely.
Right. So, all right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. What happens to applications after applicants hit submit? How are they processed and evaluated to determine who gets an interview invitation?
So once an applicant hits submit, it then goes to one of our admissions and application coordinators who will make sure that everything that we were asking in the application has been submitted. And if something is missing, we will reach out to the applicant to let them know that it is missing. Once an application is complete, though, it is split up between one of our assistant directors, associate directors, an admissions or a member of our admissions committee in particular, where we will do an initial read on your application. So we will do a full thorough review on every aspect of what we've required in the application. And that person who has read your application will do a thorough write-up on your goals, on your academics, strengths, weaknesses. And then also ultimately, once that read is completed, they have the option of making one of three decisions: inviting you to interview, waitlist without an interview, or flat out deny. If they decide to move you for an interview, you are automatically receiving our notification that we want to invite you for an interview. This is how you schedule it. If it is a wait list or a deny, it then comes back to members of our team where we take a second look to confirm if we agree with that decision or not. Of course, if you move forward with an interview, you will go through an interview. Your interview will either be conducted by an admissions representative or one of our trained second-year students who go through an intense training process. Once that interview is completed, there is a full write-up that is completed by the interviewer regarding your overall candidacy, along with their recommendation afterwards. Once the interview write-up is done, it then comes back to the committee, and there are multiple members of the AdCom that sits on the committee that meets every Wednesday, where we do a full review of your application again, along with the interviewer said, and then of course we make a final decision on, of course, an offer, a wait list after the interview, or a denial after the interview.
Got it. And So is the interview blind? In other words, have they already looked at the application when they interview?
So for our process, the interviewer will have a copy of the resume
Mhm.
along with some brief notes from your application. So as I had mentioned before, the person who does the initial read will take down notes, but then there may be also some questions that we want the interviewer to ask. So the person conducting the interview will have these two documents in front of them as they are having these conversations with the applicant.
And when the interviewer completes the interview and makes the recommendation, is that based only on the interview, or do they at that point look at the fuller application?
So that is all based off of the interview.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What is the interview like?
Yeah, I believe that we make our interview process very conversational and ultimately, a fun process. And, we want to make sure that, of course, we know why an MBA. We want to know why Johnson. We want to know why this is the right time for you to apply to business school. But we really want to know who you are. What makes you unique? And of course, yes, you're going to have those opportunities to, talk about what your goals are. And once again, why an MBA? But there are a lot of things in an interview that I find to be fascinating about candidates, whether it is their background or their love for sports or music. I've had some of the best conversations seeing, what someone's passionate about. I used to be for the Big Brother, Big Sister program. And this means, it means a lot to me. And when I see that on a resume, it's a great conversation starter. But also, I'm a diehard sports fan. I love the Buffalo Bills. And if I see someone's love for sports, it sparks different conversations.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we also want to know that you're a good fit for our community. You've done your due diligence to understand why an MBA makes sense, and in really just your goals too. So just know that it's conversational, but have fun.
And don't be afraid to be you.
Please, yes. The authentic part is very key, and it can do wonders for candidates by just being you.
I saw a quote from Vince Scully, that just passed away a little while ago, and I'm in Los Angeles. And when younger, I was a tremendous baseball fan, and he, of course, was the announcer for the LA Dodgers. And as a kid, when I was a kid, and the quote was that he was advised by Red Barber, who I think was the Vince Scully of Vince Scully's day, that he should show up at the booth and just be himself, because that will add so much to his announcing. And of course, Vince Scully was famous for being himself as an announcer. And the advice is the same in an application.
Absolutely.
In an interview and an application. All right, let's keep going. What advice would you have for re-applicants to Cornell Johnson?
I would say do some self-reflecting. Okay. Go back and look at your application and really do a thorough review of your overall candidacy and making sure that your goals were clear. Are you that candidate that should have taken the test? Is there more outreach that you could have done throughout that process? So I think that doing some self-reflecting and being honest with yourself, I think is something key for a re-applicant. But also, be in touch with our team. Your desire to be here says a lot. And as a re-applicant, I think that's a great thing. It shows that you're committed to our program. It shows that you're serious about this. But what I will say about regarding a re-applicant, you also want to be able to show, what has changed since you've last applied. All right. So I'm a firm believer in, if you submit the exact same application, you'll probably get the exact same results. So as a reapplicant, just take your time, do your due diligence, get to know us, on another level. But once again, that self-reflecting piece is something that is very key.
Right. Okay. What would you say to an applicant who's interested in applying to Cornell Johnson this year, but is also concerned about the possibility of a recession?
Yeah. I think timing is definitely important. And I think you have to really go back and think about where you're at. What's most important to you? Is it getting more experience? Is it the financial side of, taking 2 years off? Is it thinking about where you are in your career and, whether it's the lack of movement, or maybe it is opportunities that you have that will present itself within, this year or even in, future years. So, you just have to really think about, is this the right time for you? And, and trust your instinct. Continue to attend various sessions, learn about what's changing, within the MBA itself. But what's best for yourself when it comes to what you need for professional growth, whether it's happiness, whether it's the financial side, you name it. But really, I think this kind of goes back also to just the re-applicant side of things. The self-reflecting piece is going to be something that's key when thinking about applying, whether it's this year, especially when you're thinking about potential recession.
Right. What candidates do you not get enough of?
Oh man, that's a great question, because I think that we have candidates from all over. I would probably say it probably has to be specific industries. Once again, we get a lot from the financial side of things. I always say that I would love to see more like in the healthcare sector, or even just like hospitality, in the program. And of course, there are those that are coming from that area or looking to transition into that area. But from an applicant standpoint, there's so much that's happening in healthcare, as you know, right now. And there's a lot of great, opportunities out there. So this is probably just more of a personal thing of what I would love to see.
Okay. If you were thinking ahead, if you were an applicant, well, let's say I'm an applicant. Okay. Let's pretend for a minute. I'm an applicant. I'm thinking ahead to 2023, 2024. What is the one thing you would advise me to do to prepare myself to apply? Not this cycle. Again, I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah.
What should I do?
I would say stay connected. This is a great time for you to, once again, do some self-reflecting, to explore, to maybe even travel and just get to know different schools. I've heard a lot of applicants talk about friendships that they've made with, Johnson students along the way doing their research. Of course, you can start thinking about taking the test or taking the test. You can start thinking about, yes, growth within your career and taking on, new initiatives, which of course I would encourage you all to do, take on new leadership opportunities. But I will say, really stay connected. There's so much that changes in our program every year, whether it is the curriculum, whether there's new initiatives. And we want to make sure that when you get ready to apply or even think of applying, that you're really excited about Johnson, and knowing that, this is the right fit for me. I'm excited about going through this journey, learning more. But just know that there are members of our team, our community, that want to have the conversation with you about the program. So continue to do this, throughout your journey.
What would you have liked me to ask you?
Oh, man. Linda, you asked great questions.
Oh, thank
you. These are great questions. Let me see.
Something you'd like to close with?
Something I would like to close with. I love the work that I do.
Wonderful.
I love this admissions team. I love this community. As I had mentioned before, too, you're talking about a community, especially within our leadership, that truly, truly supports our students. An MBA is very expensive. And I know that it's tough to probably think about taking 2 years off, but it is worth the investment. I've seen many students, alums, who have really been able to thoroughly progress in their career, take on new opportunities, take a leap of faith in so many different areas, but also continue to have the support of their classmates and, leadership, even after they graduate, as well as in the program. So that is what I would say when for any applicant thinking about Johnson, just know that that's what you're going to get, with our community here. But also it's just a beautiful place to be. So.
Oh, it is. That is absolutely true. And that's true. I also want to mention that at Accepted, we have an Mba Roi Calculator so that you can plug in your current income, expenses, whatever, and get an estimate of ROI. Again, it's a free tool, and I'll link to it from the show notes. And you can find the show notes at accepted.com/488. Eddie, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Where can listeners and potential applicants learn more about Cornell Johnson's full-time MBA program?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely going onto our website, which is johnson.cornell.edu, definitely is the opportunity for our students to really learn more about what we have to offer and what makes our community unique. So also just any in-person virtual opportunities. So definitely go ahead and do that.
Thank you again, Eddie. We're going to include links in the show notes at accepted.com/488 to johnson.cornell.edu, which is the site that Eddie just mentioned, as well as to related articles and resources. They're all linked to from accepted.com/488. I also remembered the URL for the ROI calculator, and it is accepted.com/MBA ROI. If you want to see how financially you can possibly benefit from your MBA, even given the cost that Eddie just mentioned, go to accepted.com/MBA ROI. Quick reminder, don't miss the other resource I mentioned at the beginning of the show, and that is the Mba Admissions Quiz. Find out if you are really ready to apply, competitive at your target schools. Take the quiz at accepted.com/MBA quiz. Again, that's accepted.com/MBA QUIZ. Listener, thank you too for joining Eddie Asbee and me for our 488th episode. If you find the show worthwhile, please tell your applicant friends about it. Make sure you don't miss any future shows, be they with admissions directors, professors, current students, test prep pros, or alumni doing great things. Thanks again for coming. This is Admission Straight Talk, produced by Accepted, and I am your host, Linda Abraham. I'll talk to you again next week.